So what's this thing going on that you told me about Roc Nation, the CEO? What is happening?
So the CEO of Roc Nation is once again in the news. She was also known as a federal informant from back in the day. She was like a drug mule, and she told on her drug boss and got him locked up, and then proceeded to work for Roc Nation after that,
Right.
which is weird. I feel like she was hired by the CIA or hired by the FBI, one of those alphabet boys, to work in the music industry. Because did you hear that her daughter is now coming out and saying that her mom tries to drug her and tried to, what's the word? She basically tried to get her hemmed up for a disagreement that her husband had with her, and now she's like trying to get her husband locked up. And
Didn't she say that she tried to commit her to like a psychiatric ward?
That's what it was.
Yeah, and I think I saw footage to where there's a doctor who pulls up, and this is on the camera footage of the police, and she says, "I don't know that doctor. Who is this?" And he's like trying to commit her. He's like, "Yeah, here's your meds. We got to take you in." She's like, "I've never seen you before," which is very common in the industry because they have handlers. This is what happened with Kanye.
Britney Spears. All these people who have these trainers and these doctors who are really assets to the government, like even with Kanye's guy. So he is from Canada, but it turns out that he worked for the Canadian government. We need to talk about him more because that dude followed Kanye to Dubai.
He did.
I was talking to Vori. Vori's a good friend of mine. He writes for Kanye West. He told me, yeah, it was real. This guy was following us.
Damn.
And that's the guy, the notorious message where he told Kanye, look, if you don't do this, I'm going to send you back to zombie land and sedate you.
Crazy. That's a crazy bar, too.
That's insane, bro.
I send you back to zombie land?
And then playtime with kids won't ever be the same. Like, bro, what?
Yeah, he was talking crazy.
That's some CIA, psyop shit.
Right. And again, so when you have these people on record saying this, you don't think they're actually doing it. You don't think they're assets to whomever they're working with or dealing with. They want these people controlled. Kanye, Britney Spears, all these people who have heavy influence, they need to be controlled by them. That's just what it is.
Her daughter came out and said that she tried to put her in a psychiatric hospital.
Yeah.
Which is like, what? What are we talking about?
And then the reports say this, too. She said that her mom was trying to get her boyfriend locked up for domestic violence, and he never did anything to her.
What does that sound like? I'll wait.
Damn.
Tory Lanez, anybody?
Yeah, exactly.
So you mean to tell me Tory Lanez is innocently in prison and accused by a Roc Nation artist?
Seems to be a lot of Roc Nation artists putting people away, right? Same thing with DDG. His girlfriend, who he has a baby with. Roc Nation? She's Roc Nation. Surprise, surprise. After he does a song with Tory Lanez, he gets in trouble with somebody from Roc Nation too? The coincidences stack up.
Come on, man. How many times?
And now it's all on record, like all this stuff is coming out that, what's her name? Desiree Perez?
I believe that's her name.
Yeah, Desiree Perez. And she is obviously denying this, but these tactics seem eerily similar to what we just said. All these different instances, like, oh, you're doing this and you're doing that, and it's just this. They have like a Roc Nation playbook or something.
Yeah.
So, is it far fetched that she tried to put her away? She's lying on the boyfriend. Oh, they also said she was spying, leaving bugs in the room, listening to her, secret cameras.
Do you think that she's doing this by herself?
No.
Obviously not.
Of course not.
She has handlers herself.
Yes.
She's getting calls from the top.
Yep. So
she was an informant. She was already an informant.
Right.
How did she start working for Roc Nation?
Yeah. So she was put in place there. So you got out of your situation, and now you're ahead of this, and
Yeah, you work for them now.
now you work for them. So,
And what better person than Jay-Z, who's at the top of the industry, to control pretty much everything? Jay-Z left his man for dead. Dame Dash left him for dead.
it's literally in their symbol. The rock, right? They throw up the rock. It's a pyramid, y'all. Like, come on. It's a fucking pyramid.
Rockefeller.
Rockefeller. He's named his company after John D. Rockefeller,
Mr. Globalist.
Mr. Globalist himself. So why would you name your company after a globalist if you didn't idolize him and try to do the same thing and perpetuate the very wheel that we're all on? That vicious cycle to keep it going. Makes sense, right? Rockefeller. People are like, oh, that's cool. He named it after a billionaire.
Yeah.
Is
okay.
it?
Okay. Now you see who's in his part of his operation. This is why he got rid of Dame Dash.
Dame Dash, yeah. And that's the thing. He couldn't control Dame. And he was pretty much collateral damage to where he was going where he wanted to go, and he was cutting people off as he needed to.
Facts.
So it's same playbook, man. Same playbook. And again, with Tory, they just derailed him altogether. There's literally video footage of her saying she wasn't shot now.
Crazy. And then you got the guy who stabbed him saying, oh, yeah, I was worried that he put a hit out on me in jail, so I attacked him first. But you think he gives a fuck about... He's trying to get out.
Yeah,
what is he putting hits out on losers for?
That makes no sense. And that sounds like a nice, neat alibi. Like, he's going to get me, so I'm going to get him first? Nah.
First of all, in a California prison, if there's two different races that get into even a scuffle, it's a race war.
Right. Yep.
So I want people to really think about this. This is how you know it was a paid hit, because Tory was stabbed 14 times, and there was nothing. And there was no riot. There was no race war. There was no...
And he's a celebrity. Not
he's a celebrity.
Only in the prison in real life. So, like, the whole shit's supposed to go up,
It's supposed to go up.
So nothing happened.
What does that tell you?
It's paid hit.
Paid off.
Yeah, that is true.
From the guards to the... Everybody got paid off.
They had to
stand down.
Yeah. And we know people in jail in California.
I know people right now that are in prison.
Yeah.
I know how it works. Look, in prison, there's two different races, and they get into a fight, it's a race war off top. This is why the politics are so powerful in prison, because it's like you can't fight with someone of a different nationality just because of that.
Right.
So being that happened in California, where it's that strongest.
Yeah, because other jails around the country aren't like that. Like California traditionally is like
prominently like that.
Right. That's very interesting, and nothing happened.
Nothing.
And then he got transferred to another hospital after that. Like, he got stabbed up, and then they shipped him out.
Right.
But that makes no sense, though. That's a great point. That makes no sense. Nothing happened.
Nothing happened, but I'm just glad it's getting the light now. You know, got everybody talking about it.
Yeah.
Pierce Morgan, fucking literally everybody's talking
Amber
about
Rose.
it. Amber Rose, Kanye.
You got Representative Luna talking about it. She's looking at the evidence. So, and it's kind of funny. After I dropped the video about Tory,
let's talk about that, because when you dropped the video, it seemed like that's when shit hit the fan.
Yeah.
Back-to-back videos where it was just like, I think both of them went viral, and it was, now everybody wants to talk about Tory. So,
yeah.
Round of applause for Maverick.
Yeah, and that's the
for
thing.
making this come to the forefront of the world news right now.
And that's the thing, is I'm not doing it for the praise and being that I know him personally. I'm just doing it because I actually know him and he's an actual friend.
Oh yeah, he's a good friend. He's a good guy. He's a good guy, stand-up guy, not Hollywood in the least.
Right.
You know?
And then when I spent the time with him, I was just like, man, like, I don't see him doing this. Like, I spent extensive amount of time with him. I'm like, this has to be bullshit. And I just looked more into it. And then when Meg sued me, Then I was like, oh, yeah, she is a liar.
Yeah, for sure, because she fucking lied in that.
Yeah. So it just, I just look at the evidence. I look at what happened in my personal case and whatnot with her, and it's just and then now we see the evidence.
Yeah,
It all lines up. So yes, like once I dropped that video, then everybody started to give more light to it, and so on and so forth. So I'm glad it's just getting out there so he can get out. Trump needs to pardon him.
Pardon him. And I will say this. I think Megan is just a pawn at the end of the day.
She is.
She's not a mastermind genius. She's a fucking pawn.
Yeah.
So we need to look up the ladder. Always look up the ladder.
Yeah. I don't think that, I mean, obviously she's not in control at all. She's just being, told what to do, and she does it.
Because remember in the video that came out when she was talking to the police, she was like, they're like, you get shot? She was like, no, I didn't get shot. But then a day later, her story changed. I wonder why. Roc Nation?
Well, yeah, because they were like, you need to change that statement ASAP.
Yeah.
So you wanted to protect him, and now you don't?
Well, Tory also didn't want to sign with you guys, so he said, fuck you. We were with him when he was like, dude, this is what's going on.
That's what I mean. And being that close to the situation, we didn't talk too much about, the whole situation because it was ongoing. But, yeah, I mean, he even said it on camera himself. He was just like, yeah, Roc Nation reached out. I said no. I did my NFT album. And now all this stuff is happening.
Right.
So
I also own all my masters, and we know how that goes.
Oh, yeah. He
Jill
owns
Scott,
masters.
Michael Jackson, Prince.
Yeah.
We keep going.
That is true.
Drake with the fake pedophile thing that PDF file that they got going on with
Very
Drake.
true. Angie Stone.
That's what I meant, Angie Stone. I said Jill Scott. Jill Scott, shout out Jill Scott.
Jill Scott's still
You're
alive.
still here, Jill. I'm gonna see you in concert.
Angie Stone, yeah, Angie Stone. She came out and said, "Hey, they're stealing all my royalties." UMG. That was just November. Fast forward a few months later, she dies in a car accident.
The only person.
The only person in the car. Everybody else survives. It's like 10 plus people in the car. Very odd. How did that happen?
Tell me.
I don't know. But she was exposing, the whole industry. Same thing with Coolio. He died mysteriously.
That was crazy.
Remember that?
Because he came out and he was talking about the industry as well.
Well, he was saying straight out. He was like, the Illuminati exists, and it's not what it seems. Soon as he said that, boom. A couple months later, he's dead.
Crazy.
Coincidence?
And Coolio's seen some shit. Coolio's he was hot in 95.
Yeah, he was hot for a long time.
A long time, so.
He's seen a lot of stuff. All that 90s bullshit that was happening.
Oh, that was Illuminati era right there.
That was a wild time.
Yeah.
That was like the Diddy era. And
Yeah.
So he's seen a lot of that shit.
For sure.
So, I don't know. I think that you just got to look at the evidence, look at the coincidences, stack them up, have some discernment, and then figure it out from there. But it is, I mean, we already know the music industry is very dark.
For sure.
We know a lot of shit goes
We know
crazy.
personally, for sure, that there are people that have worshipped the devil within the music industry.
No, you know what? I heard one story that was crazy. I believe it was, what was her name? I think it was the girl it was some major singing group. I don't want to say In Vogue, but it was somebody else of that nature. I remember hearing this story from her personally. I wish I could remember the name. But she said she went to somebody's house. I think it was like a major record producer. And he wanted her to hang out and whatnot. And then he breaks out these books. And she's like, well, what is this? And then she said all of a sudden it got like real eerie in there and like kind of dark. And his face even changed. And he was looking really weird. And he was like, yeah, we got to read from these books. And she was like, yo, I think this is like a ritual about to go down. I'm getting out of here. I remember that. I think it was somebody in the industry already, though. I want to say it was somebody either in Vogue or one of those girl groups. Totally forgot the name, but I do remember that story.
Crazy.
Yeah. So, yeah, crazy times. So, I found some more stuff on 9/11. Like, this whole story just keeps going.
How?
And this is something that people may or may not know, because there's a lot of layers to 9/11. But what I just kind of, went down the rabbit hole of not too long ago was a man named Barry Jennings. Now, he worked for, the city of New York, and he was part of the emergency, housing department. He was the deputy of that division. Now, he survived 9/11. He was in one of the buildings, right? He was in the second tower. So he survived that whole thing, right? Mm-hmm. So he's seeing this in real time. He's like, there was explosions, floor by floor by floor, and I'm seeing this, I'm hearing this, right? So he survives. He gives his testimony that day because they were doing interviews on the ground level.
Okay.
And he says this. He was like, this isn't what it seems. It's very weird. The plane hits, and then these explosions floor by floor is happening.
He said that on video.
He says this, right? So then an investigation happens. Things are being looked into. Obviously, Building 7 just falling out of nowhere. Whole investigation on that. And the thing about that building, Larry Silverstein owned that building and took out a massive insurance policy right before.
Oh, did he now?
And then nothing hit it, goes down, collects the insurance.
Cashes out.
Right? So, but anyways, here's the spooky part. As an investigation is going on, now they're trying to find Barry Jennings and get his testimonial. Where's Barry? Oh, he's actually dead.
Really?
He died. Yes, he died right before they can investigate, give his testimonial, give his evidence of what he saw and what he found. And he's dead.
Wow. What?
So,
of course.
Coincidence, right? So it's just another thing to where another eyewitness states what happened, what he saw, and he just gets unalive. He's off the board now, right? So it's just weird, and that's the thing. Like, there's so many layers to peel back when it comes to 9/11. Because even with the Building 7, you got to look into that. You got to look into, I believe it was like 20 trillion missing, or something like that. Something to the effect of trillions of dollars were missing.
Oh shit!
They were going through an audit, and in the Pentagon, where the plane hit, happened to be the accounting department.
Oh, precisely.
Right? So you have all this money missing, hits the part where they do the accounting. One eyewitness says, hey, it wasn't this. He dies. The third building falls. An insurance policy gets, on there. And that's the thing. I think it was a multitude of things happening. There was a deficit as far as money missing. You had them wanting to start a war. You had them wanting to go get some oil and gold. Many layers to it. So, again, I think that when it comes to 9/11, I always say it was a 33-year cycle.
Yeah.
Started in 1968. For those who don't know, look at who, what, when, where, why, when that all happened. Let's go down the list real quick.
Let's do it.
1968. What does 1968 have to do with 2001?
I don't know.
1968. George Bush Jr., the president at the time of 9/11, graduates Yale. That same year, Space Odyssey, the movie, 2001, comes out. That same year, the New York Jets win the Super Bowl that year.
What are the chances?
That same year.
Oh, my God.
The code itself, 911 for emergency calls, was created that year.
Jesus.
Okay?
So, I mean, it's like we can keep going. I feel like we can just keep going.
But that's what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
it's all these coincidences add up. And speaking of the movie real quick, There's something that is very interesting with Stanley Kubrick, the person who directed that movie. So he's connected to that movie, right? He directs, Space Odyssey, 2001.
Mm-hmm.
So the other movie, The Shining, that he directed, he actually gives clues about the moon landing. Did you know that?
What?
Yes. Because, the theory is that the government hired Stanley Kubrick to film the fake moon landing. So get this. So in the movie, The Shining, there's a scene where the kid is playing with a toy, and it looks like he's sitting on a launch pad.
Mm-hmm.
He has a sweater on. What's the sweater say? Apollo. And it has a rocket on it, and he stands up like the rocket is going up.
What?
Yeah, look at the movie. Go back into the movie.
I gotta watch that.
Yeah, and there's other little Easter eggs as well.
Yeah.
That he puts throughout the movie, alluding to he actually filmed the moon landing. And then his last movie he did, Eyes Wide Shut, with Tom Cruise, talking about the Illuminati.
Tom Cruise.
That was his last movie, and then he dies.
Jesus.
Eyes Wide Shut. That movie's crazy, which is literally about secret societies, parties with masks and all that stuff.
Yeah, Tom Cruise is with all that. We know the group he's with. I don't even know if we're gonna even say that name on here.
Yeah, I'm cool on saying that right now.
I'm cool on saying that, but look,
we all know.
If you know, you know.
Yeah, we all know.
If you know, you know.
Yeah, but yeah, Tom Cruise said he's gonna do movies until he's like 100. He said he's not retiring.
Oh.
Maybe he can't retire.
Of course. I mean, that group that he's a part of, they don't let you leave.
I mean,
John Travolta?
Yeah. Is he still doing movies?
Of course he is. He's a part of the club. They don't let you leave.
They don't let you leave.
Yeah. You're working forever.
Damn.
Slave.
Yeah. That's crazy work. Yeah, he said he wants to do a movie with Michael B. Jordan, he just said. He said he saw Sinners, the movie, and then he's like, oh, I got to do a movie with him. But
Michael B., stay away from him, man. You doing good. You the new Tom Cruise, bro. Just stay on your path. They always want the juice. Stay away from them.
Yeah.
They're bloodsuckers, leeches.
Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, he said he's going to do movies for forever, so.
Okay.